Family Matters. That's the title of Unit 2. We're about to start Unit 2. No more passive voice for a while, although it will come up again later. But let's look and see what Unit 2 is about. First though, do you know what the following words and phrases mean? If you don't know, then you need to look them up now before we really begin the lesson. You could use a dictionary or just search for the definition online. Some of the phrases you'll probably need to look up online, not in a dictionary. So, here's the first word. Stereotype. Stereotype. If you don't know what it means, pause the video now, look up the word, make a note of its meaning, and be sure to note what the adjective form is and things like that. Now, our next word or phrase is head of the household. Head of the household. If you don't know what that means, look it up now. And next, we have the phrase extended family. Extended family. This is different to your immediate family. If you don't know, look it up now. And next we have links. Do you know what a lynx is? If you're not sure, look it up. And now we have this, Pyrenees. Pyrenees. You might have heard of these. Look them up. And raven. Raven. This you could even do a Google search and look for a picture to see exactly what it looks like. Now, who is the head of the household in your family? Can you make a sentence using the phrase head of the household? And who is the head of the household in your family? Is it one person or are there two? And traditionally, who was the stereotypical head of the family? Was it usually a man or was it usually a woman? Traditionally. We have words for family members in your immediate family, like mother and father. Can you think of some other names of family members of your extended family? How have families changed over time? Have they got bigger or are they now getting smaller? And why do you think this is? Now we're going to read a play script called Amparo's Journey. From this title, what do you think the play will be about? Now, in your students' books, turn to page 75 divided by 3 minus 7.5 times 2 plus 5 times 2. Pause the video now and press play again when you have found that page. Okay, now we're going to read Amparo's Journey, which is the play script. Once upon a time, a young Spanish girl lived in the little village of San Colombo at the foot of the great mountains known as the Pyrenees. It was a dry and dusty village, consisting of just a few white-walled houses with orange roofs and a honey-colored church with a broken bell. Amparo had lived there all her life. She had long, straight hair, as black and shiny as a raven's feathers. Her eyes were dark and blue with thick lashes, and her skin was a soft brown. Now, to the few visitors who came to visit San Colombo, Amparo seemed to be a very ordinary girl. But she was not. Oh no, not at all. She had a terrible temper and a very stubborn streak. She was as stubborn and awkward as all the donkeys in the village put together. One evening her brothers were very cross. "Well, I've spent all day cooking and all you can do is sit there like stuffed monkeys." "We're very worried. This year's crop will be very poor, and we have many bills to pay. If only we could ask old Uncle Carlos for help." "But he lives too far away, over the mountains." "And the journey would be far too dangerous." "Nonsense! I will go and see old Uncle Carlos and ask him for help." "You can't go." "Yes, I can." "We won't let you." "Oh, yes, you will. I shall pack a few things immediately." "But the way over the mountains is dangerous. There are wild beasts and bandits, and there is no water." "I shall manage. Now, eat your food, and let's hear no more about it. I shall set off tomorrow." So the very next morning, with only a leather flask of water and a little bundle of food tied in her red shawl, Amparo set off for the village of San Fernando, where old Uncle Carlos lived. She had been walking for about an hour when she saw ahead of her a large brown cat with a short stump of a tail and long tufts of hair on its ears and cheeks. It was a mountain lynx. The lynx snarled at her. "What are you making all that noise for?" "Grrr! Aren't you a-trembling in your shoes?" "No, not in the slightest. But I can't stop to listen to you all day." And with that, Amparo carried on down the track, leaving the lynx with his mouth wide open in amazement. By now the dazzling sun was overhead, and Amparo felt very thirsty. "Ah, how lucky I am to find this well." "What are you doing?" "What does it look like?" "Don't answer a question with a question, you bold child. Stop shouting, you're chasing all the birds away. This is my well. I own it. I am Don Ricardo, the richest man in the... Really, how interesting. But I can't stop to listen to you all day." And she pulled up the bucket from the well, drank a little, splashed some water on her dusty face, and filled her leather flask. Don Ricardo was stuck for words and watched Amparo set off again along the mountain path. Just as the sky was getting dark and the wind became cold, she arrived at the village of San Fernando. Old Uncle Carlos was so pleased to see Amparo, but when she told him how she and her brothers needed his help, he just sighed. "I would help if I could, but I have nothing to give. Every month the bandits come down from the mountain and take all my money, In fact, they will be here tomorrow. You must return home before they arrive. Certainly not. And, just as Uncle Carlos predicted, the next morning the bandits came knocking on his door. I've been waiting for you. For me? Yes, for you, and I know why you're here. You do? Yes, I do. You're here to pay back all the money you owe my uncle. I am? Yes, you are. And with that, she pulled the fat pouch full of pesetas from the bandit's belt. But I am El Fanatico, the nastiest, the cruelest, wickedest bandit of all Spain. Really, how interesting. I can't stop here listening to you all day. I've got a long journey back home. And before you go, El Fanatico, or whatever they call you, I hope my uncle has seen the last of you. El Fanatico was stuck for words. Nobody had ever spoken to him like that before. Amparo's brothers were waiting for her on the rocky path to San Colombo. Ah, little sister, we are so relieved that you are safe. Look, brothers, look at what our little sister has brought with her. There is enough to pay all our bills, with some to buy a new bell for the church. Amparo is now an old lady. She still lives with her brothers in the little village of San Colombo. She feeds her hens and waters her melons, and she is as bad-tempered and as stubborn as ever. One day a famous bullfighter came to the village and... but that is another story. Now, when we read a play script, or when we look at a play script, we need to recognize the features. At the top of a play script, there should be this. This is it's not a headline, it's not a heading. This is the name of the play and which scene number it is, because plays come in different scenes, scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. Next, there will be a list of the characters that the actors will play. Now, notice these are not in alphabetical order. These are written in the same order that the characters will speak. So here, the first one is the narrator, which means the narrator will be the first character to speak. Amparo is the second, so the person playing Amparo will be the second person to speak. Underneath the list will be something like this. This is the setting description for this scene. Where is the scene taking place? Here it says, a hot sunny day on a desolate mountain road in the Spanish Pyrenees. This is always written, or usually written, in the present tense. Now, the narrator is the first person to speak. Over here on the left, the name of the character who is going to speak is always written in capital letters. Every letter is a capital letter. This is so that the actors who are practicing the script, they know that they don't say this word. It's not a word that you speak out loud. This is just the name of who is speaking, which character. And also, after comes a colon. This is also so the actors know that after the colon, these will be the lines that they actually say. So the narrator reads his lines. Next, it's the character Amparo's turn to speak. But now we have this. This is called a stage direction. It's so that the person, the actor who's playing Amparo, knows how to say the line. When they read this out, they might just read it out in a normal voice. What are you making all that noise for? But that's not how Amparo's character says it. She says it in a very sharp voice. She speaks sharply. What are you making all that noise for? So this stage direction in the blue writing, it can tell the actor how to make their voice sound, but it can also give other information. It could tell them how to move. It could be running quickly or trying to hide under the table. Importantly, all stage directions are always in the present tense. Okay? Always in the present tense. So, how to speak? Maybe some movement, but it could also be a facial expression like mouth wide open with shock. Okay? Or it could be how they stand, standing angrily with hands on their hips. So these are all the different things that an actor needs to know. Next, we have the Lynx character. Their stage direction is growling, and then the line that they say, "Aren't you a trembling in your shoes?" After that, it continues. Amparo's line, the narrator's line, Amparo's line, and here's Don Ricardo's line. See, if it didn't say angrily, the actor might just say, "What are you doing?" And that's not how the character is supposed to say it. He has to say it angrily. Interestingly, these stage directions, they are not always, but they are often adverbs. Angrily, quietly, quickly, and so on. So Don Ricardo's character should say it, "What are you doing?" like that. Okay, so the purpose of a play script is so that the actors, they will know when it's their turn to speak, the correct order. They will know what lines to say. They will know how to say the line. Okay. They will also know if they have to do a movement, how to move, any gestures or facial expressions. All of this comes from the play script. Now, next. We've just had a brief introduction to Playscripts, but you've done them before, probably in grade 4 and grade 5. So I want you to go back to the GC Classroom, find the link for the quizzes quiz, and then complete that quiz. There will be questions about all the features I've just told you about and the purpose of a Playscript, and some questions about the vocabulary that you looked up at the very start of this lesson. Keep trying the quizzes quiz until you score about 9 correct or more. I think there are about 11, okay? If you have any questions about what you need to do, you can contact me in today's grade 6 Zoom meeting. But if you know what to do and you don't have any questions, then you do not need to join today's Zoom meeting at all. Okay, the Zoom meeting is only there if you get stuck. Okay, so that's it for today. See you tomorrow for tomorrow's Zoom lesson.